G'day, it's Stevic from 12 Ninja here. And look, if you like American football, you should check out Saints Happy Hour podcast. I personally know fuck all about American football, other than it's a bunch of massive blokes wearing spandex, shoulder pads and helmets, running around with throwing a football. In Australia, you don't throw footballs. You punch it or you kick it. And there's no protection. They're all naked. And there's sharks and crocodiles fired out of cannons onto the field, and we all stand around and drink blood watching it. But if American football's your thing, you know what to do. Saints Happy Hour podcast. Stick it in your ear hole.
All right, everybody, welcome to another edition of Saints Happy Hour podcast. It's that time of week where we're on YouTube. If you're seeing this on YouTube, which a lot of you are, we had 20,000 people view the channel this week, Andrew. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and wherever you get your podcast, search Saints Happy Hour podcast. We're setting records. Join us. Go to saintshappyhour.com, become a patron. Try us for a month. I guarantee you're going to love us. We got a private Discord channel. We'll talking Saints. We'll give you free swag when you sign up. We're the best. Join us. It's going to make your Saints season that much more fun. Andrew, today I want to talk about a couple of things with the Saints playing the Bengals, but I want to start here. Injury report from Wednesday. Some good news, some bad news. My main concern with the injury report is if the Saints don't have Marshawn Lattimore, I feel like he's the fulcrum, or I don't know what you want to call it, the core of what Dennis Allen wants to do on defense. Like the Saints, they want to play press man. They want to lock Lattimore on the best guy, and it allows them to do other things. If they don't have Lattimore, what's going to be their plan against Cincinnati, who it kind of feels like the worst matchup because Cincinnati's entire offense is just throw bombs to Jamar Chase.
He's the straw that stirs the drink, right? I think that's what you're getting at. But I think it's going to be difficult, honestly, because I think Cincinnati, well, first of all, I just want to say Cincinnati has taken a huge step back offensively this year. And a big reason why is they're not running the ball with Joe Mixon well at all. He's at 3.1 per carry. They just have been really ineffective. They've been really poor blocking. They've made some changes up front, but it really hasn't taken.
Yeah.
So
second fewest pass plays of 20 yards or more, which you wouldn't expect from Cincinnati at all after last year.
Yeah, that's shocking. That's a staggering thing. And, T. Higgins got injured last week. And so that's maybe the silver lining. He's a potent weapon in that offense. And if T. Higgins is injured and he can't play this week, maybe that helps things. But, when you look at Lattimore and the way the Saints kind of use him, and so I mentioned Mixon because I think the Saints have been up and down stopping the run. And it's critical that they do that this week. They have to lock down the run and make sure that Nixon doesn't get yards to where the down and distance is favorable for Cincinnati. But assuming they do that, what the Saints like to do is, obviously you said it, they man press, they leave Lattimore on an island. And they don't really care if it's Jefferson or DK Metcalf. Jefferson didn't have very much success, as we know. Lattimore didn't. But against Metcalf, he did really well. The times that Metcalf had big gains, it was against a Debo. And for the most part, I think there was one target on a crossing route that Lattimore actually broke up. Was the only time they targeted Metcalf when he was covered by Lattimore. So he did a really good job on Metcalf. But I think what the Saints like to do is they just put him on an island. They're like, you man press this guy, you cover him, you do your thing, and we'll do our weird kind of exotic and help covers on the other side. But it allows Dennis Allen a lot of flexibility because he doesn't have to play straight up, and he can blitz. He can bracket another receiver to take him out of the game. There's just a lot of different things that they can do because of the flexibility that Lattimore allows them to have by basically taking their top receiver out of the game all by himself.
With the Saints too, Lattimore doesn't quote unquote travel with the receiver, right? So a team can motion, like if Lattimore would play against Cincinnati, you could say, well, Cincinnati could motion Jamar Chase away from Lattimore. But if you do that, the Saints are like, okay, you motion him away. Well, then he doesn't get to have one-on-one coverage. He gets a different coverage. So it really, like you just explained it perfectly. It really, the Saints, it gives Dennis Allen a bunch of options. So my thing is, as a coach, Andrew, if you're Dennis Allen, do you have to sort of, because you're trying to build this game plan against Cincinnati and they have these weapons and whatnot, is it better that you're like, he's not playing? Lattimore is not going to play. And we got to build this entire game plan of Cincinnati, however we're going to build it, but we don't have him. Or is it better to like, we'll see, and maybe he's DMP yesterday, but he's limited. Like, what do you think the Saints' plan around it is going to be, and what do you think is better for Sunday? Is it better that Lattimore's just out, or no, we'll hope that he can play and that sort of thing?
Well, I think putting Lattimore on an island and making him do man press is what they do every week. So at the end of the week, if he's like, oh, he's recovered quicker than we thought, and we thought he wasn't going to be able to play, and we designed this whole game plan, and now we quickly have to pivot and adjust. I mean, teams have to do that in game all the time anyway.
Yeah.
Pivot and adjust. The game plan is shit. Like we thought we had something and it's not working, and we've got to make halftime adjustments and we have to change it completely, right? So that happens. So I think you have to plan for him not playing. You have to plan for, I think you take this whole week to plan as if Lattimore is not playing. And I really think he's going to miss this game, and I think he's going to miss Arizona. I think he's going to be out 2 weeks. But we'll see how he responds to treatment and all that. But I think you plan for him not playing, and you make a game plan to take Chase out of the game. You have to stop the run, and you have to take Chase out. And obviously you're not going to hold him catchless, but I think you have to pay specific attention to him and force Cincinnati to beat you with someone else. Like that has to be the approach. And so I know Dennis Allen likes to man press. I know he likes to put his guys on an island, and he likes having big, good physical cover corners in Roby and Adebo and Lattimore and the guy they just drafted, Taylor. But I just don't think you can do that against Chase. I think that is exposing yourself to big plays, which they've given up a ton of already this year. And I think it exposes you to just not having a successful game. So I think they've got to double cover him. They've got to bracket him. They've got to find a way to limit the damage that Chase does. And again, force Cincinnati's offense to go somewhere else. And if Lattimore ends up playing, then maybe you adjust and then that's great. But I think you have to plan for him not being there, and you have to plan for paying extra special attention to Chase.
Baltimore's pass defense is the worst in the NFL by yards, and some other, if you like your.
I guess Marcus Williams isn't really working out. Huh?
Yeah, he's hurt. He was playing pretty good before he got hurt in the Cincinnati game, obviously. Yeah. But their pass defense has been bad. But they held, Jamar Chase had 12 catches, but I think he only had like 60 yards. So it's very like Cincinnati after the game. Joe Burrow was like, "What do you want me to do? These teams are taking away our deep shots. Like, this is what we have to live in." And Cincinnati doesn't really, through the first 5 weeks, they haven't had a counterpunch to it. Like their offense, Zach Taylor, teams are hitting him in the mouth and they can't really figure it out because, like you said, they can't run the ball. Do you think Dennis Allen is going to change how they play without Lattimore, or are the Saints going to be like, no, like we do press man. This is what we do. This is who we are. Adebo, you're up, buddy. Like,
I hope
because
I think you have to adjust to your matchups and your personnel. I mean, if you look at Pete Carmichael and Sean Payton, we'll say the combination of them too. But if you look at the game against Seattle most recently, Seattle's a terrible defense. And so on some level, you're like, yeah, like the Saints had a huge mismatch and they had an advantage there because Seattle is just terrible. But I think part of why they scored 39 points and they were so successful is the way they used Taysom Hill and the way they used Alvin Kamara, the way they moved them around, and like that wouldn't necessarily be the game plan against everyone else. There's going to be some teams where they might be down to their fourth and fifth corners, and you're like, all right, well, let's force them to cover and let's go 5 wide and let's operate out of the shotgun and let's just keep chucking the ball because we don't believe these guys can cover us, right? So, and we've seen that with Sean Payton from week to week. He goes, power Taysom. He's putting 10 guys at the line of scrimmage, and he's pounding it in there like we saw against Seattle. And then there's other games where they're getting super vertical and they're really testing the corners because they don't believe that they can match up. So I think defense is the same way. You have to adjust and adapt to your personnel. You have to adjust and adapt to the matchup that you're facing. And I on some level, I respect the approach of like, this is who we are and this is what we do. And I think you want to stay true to that, but you have to be able to iterate.
Yeah. So this game, it's Saints Bengals, and I'm sad that I wasn't able to go because I had something come up, and I wasn't able to travel to New Orleans because I really want to see the Saints beat Cincinnati because one, Saints need to get to 3-3, but two, the thing that surprised me, Andrew, is I've become very, very annoyed with LSU fans. And I've been fighting with a lot of them on Twitter. Not the ones who are like, that are from Louisiana and from Baton Rouge or whatever. And like, I'm going to the game. I never really liked the Saints, Ralph. I root for Joe Burrow. That's how I roll. I'm like, cool. You're a Bengals fan. That's fine. You
or you're Joe Burrow. You root for guys around the league that.
Yeah, like you're not a Saints fan. That's fine.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah.
The thing that annoys me is these freaking LSU fans who want to say, I'm a diehard Saints fan, Ralph. I bleed black and gold. But this week, I got to root for Cincinnati. I got to root for my boy, Joey Burrow, because he's special. He's different. And then Monday, after the game's over, when the Saints are 2-4, I'll root for the Saints against Cincinnati. Dude, you're not a Saints fan. Like that's just it. Like you can't pick and choose when you root for a team. You can, but that means you just watch the Saints and you're not really a freaking fan. And why is it okay, LSU fans? Why is it okay for you to drop your Saints fandom and root for Joey Burrow because he's different? He delivered a national championship to LSU. But you forsake the Honey Badger and Jarvis Landry. Honey Badger's an iconic LSU player. But you're not rooting for him Sunday. So, like, it's just nonsense. Just admit you're not a Saints fan and let's move it along.
Yeah, don't tell me you're a Saints fan. That's it. That's it. Like, or you kind of like the Saints. You most of the time you root for them, but you're not a Saints fan. You're not a real true Saints fan. So let's just call it what it is. I still am cracking up, Ralph, thinking about your analogy of that's like saying, I'm an LSU fan, except for when LSU plays one of their biggest rivals, Alabama.
Yeah, like that
because of what Nick Saban did. Like,
yeah,
I just love him so much.
Like,
it's like,
if I said that to an LSU fan, if I was like, look, I went to LSU, graduated in 1999. I love the Tigers. But Nick Saban, he did something special at LSU. He helped build the LSU dynasty, and that to me, in my heart, I'll love him forever. So when they play Alabama, roll tide. Like LSU fans would be like, "You're a wacko." Like
that's what you're saying, though. That's basically, if you're rooting for Joe Burrow on Sunday and you pretend to be a Saints fan, that's exactly what you're saying.
You're wacko.
You're a Bengals fan. Let's call it what it is. You root for the Saints, except for when they play the Bengals because of Joe Burrow. That means you're a Bengals fan. You're not a Saints fan.
Yeah. And the thing is, people too are like, you are gatekeeping my Saints fan. I'm like, I'm not gatekeeping anything, buddy. Like, you're not a Saints fan. Like, you can live your life however you want. All I ask is that when you say I'm rooting for the Bengals Sunday, just embrace your Bengal fandom. Like,
yeah, admit that, like, you're the Saints. Like, you're not a diehard Saints fan.
Yeah,
you're just like they're my second team.
Yeah, like I watch Tulane football. If they win, it's cool, but I don't care. Like, if they lose this week, I'm like, oh, Tulane, they lost. Click, change the channel. Like, I don't care. Like, it doesn't matter. But, like, I watch. So, like, I'm a Tulane watcher, but let's be real.
I don't care. Like, I care just a little bit about Tulane.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a bigger LSU fan than Saints fan. Let me be clear. Like, Ralph and I, we're LSU fans.
Yeah,
I love LSU. Joe Burrow, what he did for LSU. Let me be clear, like
it's awesome. I have $500 worth of national championship merchandise.
Look, Tyler Shelvin is on the practice squad for the Bengals. I root for him too. And look, I like Hendrickson I like Von Bell. Now Eli Apple, he can go to hell, but like the rest, the rest of them, like I'm rooting for those guys, and I would say that whenever the Bengals play, it's kind of like as long as they're not playing the Saints, I root for them. I love Joe Burrow, and I hope that he goes to the Super Bowl again. And it's kind of like whoever's playing the Falcons, I'm their fan that week.
Yes.
I want them to win too. Like, especially if it's the Saints, but like I hope Joe Burrow throws 5 picks. I hope he gets sacked 12 times, Ralph. I hope he loses by 50. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm a Saints fan. That trumps everything else.
Yeah, I want Macaulay Culkin.
You LSU
sad.
people out there, like, just like be honest with yourself. Like, don't say that you're a diehard Saints fan. You're not.
Or even a Saints fan at all. Like, you just kind of watch them. Like it's fun. I have a bunch of people in my life.
You feel about the Saints like we do about Tulane. We are passive fans. We're like, I wouldn't even call us fans. I would just say, because that implies the word fanatic, right? It's short for fanatic. We are not fanatic about Tulane.
I'm happy for Dave. They're 5-1. That's cool.
I like casually root for them, and like I easily go a Saturday without watching the game.
Yeah.
And if I do, it's probably like
you're sympathetic.
It's a drive here or there, but yeah, I'm sympathetic. Thank you for the word.
Yeah.
Yes.
But like you're not gonna like if the Saints game, I gotta watch it, I gotta follow it, I gotta know what's going on, even if I have
every
another
play.
thing in my life, right?
Yeah. I'm afraid to go to the bathroom.
Like Tulane, if they played like during my kids' baseball game, I'm like, oh, Tulane's playing whatever. Like I don't even think about it. And then when it's done, I'll turn it on.
Yeah.
But here's the thing with this game. There's gonna be a ton of Cincinnati. I think there's going to be a ton of Cincinnati fans there in the Dome. I think it's going to probably be 35% Bengal fans, which is going to be annoying.
It will be.
And the most annoying of these people is they want to root for Cincinnati. They don't want us to laugh at them for not being Saints fans. And they want to talk their mess about, I'm going to clown you when Cincinnati crushes the Saints. Well, if you're that happy when Cincinnati wins Sunday, again, you're not a Saints fan.
You're a Bengals fan.
You're a Bengals fan. Like,
so who's public? So here's the question, Ralph. Who's public enemy number one here? Is it the guy that goes to the stadium wearing the Bengals Burrow jersey? And let me go ahead and rule them out. Like, I don't think that's public enemy number one. Is it guy that wears the LSU Burrow jersey and roots for Cincinnati? Or is it the guy that wears the LSU Burrow jersey and roots for the Saints? Who is public enemy number one?
Ooh. See, the guy who wears the Burrow jersey and roots for the Saints, he can't be public enemy number one. It's weird that he's wearing the Burrow jersey to the game. Like, that's really weird, but he's a Saints fan. And listen, a lot of people, they loved it. Like 2019 was awesome.
Yeah.
I
so
gotta
that's
say,
almost
I
like
think
shout out to Burrow. Like, I love what you did for LSU. I'm wearing your jersey, but like, so you think it's weird, but you allow that?
Yeah, because he could be. Do you
need to counterbalance that with like a Saints hat to kind of?
Yeah. Like here's the thing, like he could walk out the stadium and he could be like, the Saints won 45-42 and I had Joey B on my fantasy team. And it's like, this is the perfect outcome for me. Saints
don't bring fantasy into that. That's just confusing the issue. Don't bring fantasy into this.
So I would say public enemy number one is the guy who's wearing the LSU Burrow jersey and rooting for the Bengals. Because the guy who wears the Burrow jersey from Cincinnati, at least he's being outwardly honest that I'm rooting for Cincinnati.
Yes.
The guy wearing the Burrow jersey from LSU, but rooting for Cincinnati, if the Saints win, he can just shut his mouth and no one will torment him out on the way out the stadium. The guy wearing the Bengals jersey, at least he has the courage of his convictions to be like, I'm a Bengal fan. The one wearing the LSU jersey but rooting for the Bengals, he's a coward. He's a coward. So he's public enemy number one because we hate cowards.
So, but like, there's the LSU fans that have never cared about the Saints and admit that. I have more respect for them. Like, I don't
Yeah.
expect you don't have to be a Saints fan just because you love LSU. Like, it's not like they're not a package deal. They don't go together. I happen to love both. Ralph, I know you love both, but like, you don't have to love it. There's some people that are Tulane and Saints. There's some people that are just Tulane. There's some people that are just LSU. So they happen to go together for a lot of people, but I think it's fine to wear a Burrow. So there's kind of like two people, right? There's the LSU fans that wear the Burrow jersey, and they're there. They're just rooting for Burrow, and they want to watch Burrow and Chase play, and they don't care about the Saints. And I respect those people. It's cool. Like, you don't have to like the Saints. It's fine. It's, to me, the people that really get to me, it's the people that are like, yeah, I root for the Saints. I care about the Saints, but for this game, I'm going to wear the LSU Burrow jersey, and I'm going to root for Cincinnati. Like, to me, that's where it's like, you're a Bengals fan. Yeah. Let's call it this way. Like, there's a line in the sand. The Saints are playing the Bengals. Like, those are the two teams that are playing on Sunday. And you're going to that stadium, and you're rooting for the Bengals and not the Saints. You're a Bengals fan.
Bengals fan. Period. And listen,
he put that to the. Your Saints fandom is literally being put to the test with the Saints playing the Bengals, and you're picking the Bengals. You're a Bengals fan.
Yeah, and you can't even use the lame excuse of, well, the Saints are 5-0 and Cincinnati's 2-3, so Cincinnati really needs to win more. Both of these teams are 2-3, and if the Saints lose Sunday, they're 2-4 and go to Arizona 3 days later. Like, this game sort of feels like a must-win, and you're abandoning the Saints in their time of need to root for Cincinnati. So you're not a Saints.
This is an interesting thought experiment because, like, so my brother-in-law, he grew up in Baton Rouge, huge LSU fan his whole life. He tailgated, went to all the games. For undergrad, he went to Georgia, and so now he's a big Georgia fan. And so he's constantly tormented and divided on which one to root for. And I've talked to him. Even though he went to Georgia and that like changed obviously his rooting interest, he's still a huge LSU fan. And so now he's both. And I ask him all the time, like, when they play, like, who do you root for? And he's like, honestly, like, whichever one I think has a stronger chance at the title. It's like, whichever one I think can do better, that's the one I root for. That, so he kind of switches, depending on like who the win means more to. And he's kind of admitted to me, like, yeah, I'm probably still like slightly more LSU than Georgia, even though I went there. But I'm curious, like, for someone like that, would you call him a coward?
Ooh, it's tough because LSU's played Georgia in the SEC championship game twice. And like, whoever won would go on and probably play for the national title. So that's hard. Yeah. That's hard. That's a hard one. I still think
does someone like him, like, that's my question though, Ralph. Do you feel like he has to pick?
Yeah, you got to pick.
Like, do you think it's BS that like 1 year he's like, well, Georgia's better and I think they can win, and now
I understand the conflict, but the question I would ask him in 2011 when LSU played Georgia and whoever won probably got to play in the national championship. In 2019 when LSU played Georgia, in 2004 or 2007, I think it was, when Les Miles, or no, they played Tennessee then. But in 2001, Nick Saban, like, when LSU and Georgia play in the SEC championship, who does he root for? Because that's who he's a fan of. Like, that would tell me.
I think he rooted for LSU in those. Like, if it's but I think where he would say, like, he wouldn't want, like, if LSU was having a bad season and they played Georgia in the regular season, like they just happened to be matched up that year, and Georgia was number one, he wouldn't want LSU to derail Georgia on their path to winning. So I think that's where he flips, and that's how he would explain it to you. And like, so it's I like understand that, like, it's shades of gray for it. I'm a very black and white guy when it comes to rooting. Like, I have my teams and that's who I root for, period, end of story. So like, I can't get that invested in the Bengals. Like, I was happy to see Joe Burrow do well, but like, I'm a Saints fan, period, end of story. Like, I don't root for other teams. I don't have an AFC team. I don't have I root for the Saints. I'm very black and white, but I understand that other fans kind of have shades of gray, and like, conceptually, like, I just can't get there with them.
No, you can't. I
only have place in my heart for one person, Ralph. Like, I only have one wife. I don't have 7 wives, Not, Yeah.
I can't be invested in multiple. I can't be invested emotionally in multiple NFL teams. I don't know.
Part of it's self-preservation, right?
Yeah, like.
Yeah, I have to worry about my mental health here.
I mean,
You have multiple kids though, Andrew.
I do have multiple kids. That's true, and that is conflicting. But Ralph, can you imagine going through multiple no calls in a season?
Oh my God! Can you imagine like if you were like a diehard Saints fan and a diehard Browns fan in like 98, 99? Like it's just pain after pain.
In 99, the Browns beat the Saints on a Hail Mary. How would you feel about that?
Oh my God. I'd want to take up a new sport is what I'd want to do, like a new hobby. But listen, guys, thanks for joining us.
I don't want my brother-in-law's conundrum. I don't want that. That sounds horrible.
It's just easier to say I'm a Saints fan. That's what I do. That's how I roll. And I've really ratcheted up my hate for these LSU people. I want the Saints to humiliate the Bengals in the most painful way possible. I don't want any Bengals to get injured, but I would love if their season is a smoldering crater after Sunday and they are fighting and screaming with each other because they're incompetent and they're back to being the Bengals. Like I want that so bad.
So LSU Joe Burrow fans rooting against the Saints. I hope we beat Florida on Saturday. I'm all in. Sunday, I hate you all. And then we can go back to being friends on Monday.
That's right. Guys, thanks for joining us. Subscribe on the YouTube channel. Hit the like button. Go to saintshappyhour.com. Become a patron. Support the best Saints podcast on earth. Thanks for joining us. And we will see you after the Saints game Sunday afternoon.
Who dat?